If you're new to Canada or are about to come to Canada, you will need a Canadian style resume in order to find a job. Now in this video, we'll see some of the things that you must do and some of the things that you must avoid while writing a Canadian style resume. So first, let's just talk about how does a Canadian style resume look like and what goes into it. So your Canadian style resume must contain, first of all, your contact information, that is very important. Second, your career objective or summary. Third, your work experience if you have any. Fourth, your education. And then comes your technical skills and volunteer experience. Now, what are the do's and don'ts when writing a Canadian style resume? First of all, and very important, do not include your age or date of birth in your resume. Not only your age, but you don't need to include your sex or gender, your sexual orientation, gender identity, marital status, race, religion, any mental or physical disability. You don't have to include these things in your resume because according to Canadian Human Rights Act, it is illegal for a federal sector employer to ask a candidate about all these things. Therefore, there is no place for these in your resume. So avoid including all these things in your resume. Second, do not use more than 2 pages. This is a golden rule. You cannot and you should not use more than 2 pages for your resume. A single page resume is enough if you do not have a lot of work experience. A 1-page resume is perfect. But in any case, if you have to write some more content in your resume, then do not exceed the 2-page limit. Also, avoid using small font size to fit everything within 2 pages. Rather, you should trim down some of the content and make it more relevant to the job that you're applying for. Third, convert your grades into Canadian equivalent grades. A Canadian employer might not understand your home country's grade system. Therefore, it's important that you convert your marks, percentage or grade into 4.0 GPA scale, which is the most commonly used grade system in Canada. And it's easy to convert. You can use any online tool, or if you want to convert percentage to a 4 grade point GPA, you just need to divide the percentage by and then multiply it by 4. It will give you your GPA on 4.0 GPA scale. Fourth, always include language skills. Because Canada has a huge immigrant population, especially in the big cities. Therefore, there are many other languages spoken in Canada besides English and French. So if you know how to speak any major world language, you must include that. If you have a proficiency in any major world language, just don't forget to include that in your resume. Suppose if you know how to speak Hindi, Punjabi, Mandarin, German, Spanish, you need to include that in your resume because that will give a weightage to your resume. So please include language skills. Fifth, do not list your hobbies unless they are relevant to the job. There is no need to include hobbies in your resume unless they are directly related to the position that you're applying for. For example, if you know how to play a musical instrument, there's no need to include that if you're applying for an IT position. If you're applying for a position in some music school, then it's fine. But playing tennis or guitar skills are not important for an employer to know if you are applying for an IT position. Therefore, just do not list your hobbies unless they are very relevant to the job. Sixth, do not give details about your immigration status in your resume. There's no need to mention whether you are a student in Canada or you have a work permit or you're permanent residence. These things would come up in an interview and only if employer needs to know about it. There's no need to mention that in your resume. Seventh, as far as possible, give a Canadian address and phone number on your resume. Avoid using your home country's address or home country's phone number because that can confuse an employer whether you are currently living in Canada or not. An employer would always prefer someone who's currently living in Canada. Therefore, as far as possible, just list a Canadian address and Canadian phone number on your resume. Next, add LinkedIn profile in your resume. Having a LinkedIn profile is very important if you're trying to find a job in Canada. So you must include a link of your LinkedIn profile in your resume so that an employer can click on that link and visit if they want to. And also, it's important to keep your LinkedIn profile updated with your current skills and qualifications. Next, you do not need to sign your resume. There's no need of your signature. And you do not need to include list of references in your resume. If an employer asks you for reference, then you provide that. You do not include list of references before that. Also, do not waste space in your resume. There shouldn't be much gap between two paragraphs or two lines in your resume. Just avoid wasting space. And do not include the words such as resume or CV at the top of the document. So avoid including those words. Also, never put any date on the resume. There is no place for date on the resume. So that was all about some of the do's and don'ts when you're writing a Canadian style resume. So comment below if there is any question or any query related to Canada immigration. And also you can follow me on Instagram and Facebook. Links are given in description below.